Hope you guys are ready for another episode of Double D's in your face. That's right.
Next question from Brandon.
You're yelling.
Brandon Gwynn. You two gents have deep ties to Arizona State. Kyle Rittenhouse is a new Arizona State student. Seems y'all have a lot in common. Y'all should talk. FJB.
Yes, we should. And I'm all for Kyle Rittenhouse being there. And those pansies who are against him, pack your shit and get out of here if his presence bothers you so much. He is a good American. He was found innocent, so fuck off.
Yeah, or just head off to a nice liberal state and you could nest it and
California's
live there.
right over there.
Yeah.
Have fun.
But I think there might be what's happening here in a lot of these liberal democratic states where it seems like a lot of people tend to be vacating it and heading to all these Republican run. And again, I was never
the taxes are too high, and there's no protection.
Why would there be so high? Why I mean, you've got a democratic government running things. I mean, obviously these businessmen and men and women should be knowing what they're doing, right?
Apparently they're not, Mr. Severn, because they are continuing to
remember,
raise.
I'm setting these up just so you can knock them all down here. They're not. I'm setting them up here for you.
Apparently they continue to raise taxes. They let illegal immigrants in. They got rid of the police force, and crime has gone up, and they can't figure out why.
Here's on that same note, but from a different angle. Do you think that irregardless whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, do you think that politicians, when they're running for an office now, should they have some type of a legitimate business background? Knowing how to actually run companies, know what it's like to hire people, but
rather than inherited money and just sit upon their little glass throne.
Instead of just being a privileged type person that has never had a callus on their hand, has never had no dirt underneath their fingernails from doing it honest.
Got a splinter.
Yes.
Days work. Grease in their eye, right. Yeah, I think that would, what we're looking at.
Again, I'm just setting this up here. I'm waiting for you to give the old knockout punch because I'll grapple him to death, but I can't knock him out.
You can't knock him out.
No.
You can steamroll him over, though. Yeah, that's damn sure.
But no, I mean, it's, I really think that, I think Quinn's a little bit bored with our answers over here. She's story. If you hear that story in the background, that's Don's Poochie Pooch, the mascot of the show, Quinn over there. That's storing up a storm here right now.
She's letting us know that we're droning on.
Yes. but no.
Next question.
I just look at that politicians should have a true business background because running the United States, it's a business.
Right.
As a way that a lot of people did not like the way that Trump did things, but Trump did things from a businessman's perspective.
And he was successful
and
he did.
And a lot of people may not like the way that he did things. And to me, it's like going, like him or not, did he get the job done? Yes, he did. He did things for America, and he did things for America. Yep. That was all aspects. Now you got whatever's happening nowadays,
dipshit
that doesn't know where he's at, can't even read off of a teleprompter right now.
His crackhead son is selling paintings for millions of dollars, and we don't know who the buyer is, and it's just a payoff. It's just a stinking payoff, and everybody knows it. That's how money is laundered, is through the art world, and everybody's fully aware of it. Yet we're all standing around with our thumb up our ass when that happened.
Yeah. Again, I know we're kind of digressing and going into a little bit more some politics, but again, it is strange times that we're living in, and we'll probably divert there again and again until either something gets better or before the commies come and take us away.
Right.
So, all right. Do we have another question?
Yes, sir.
Or do I have to start singing?
No,
God bless America, land of the free.
Oh my God!
Stand beside. Okay, never mind.
So this
is Quinn, pick it up.
This is a question in general, not directed at either of you. Well,
Well, you want to handle it?
it's
then?
about Don. No,
I'll go get a sandwich.
I want to get your thoughts on this. It's from Mossy Horn Hunter.
Mossy Horn Hunter.
And he says, remember when Dog the Bounty Hunter's bodyguard knocked out Don in a hotel?
No, I don't remember because I had a bottle of tequila in me and 5 different types of narcotics. So I don't remember anything that day. He might have saved my life by, but I'll tell you what, being that inebriated I was, I didn't go down easy. I didn't go down on one shot. So I'm not the one who should be ashamed.
All right, let's get one for Dan here. Question for Dan Severn.
Who was that cunt that asked that question anyways?
That was the Mossy Horn Hunter.
Mossy the cunt horn hunter. All right. Go fuck yourself and fuck your mother. Like everybody else has.
On to the next one. For Dan here. This is from Scott Y. Question for Dan Severn. Who would have won a no-holds-barred cage fight between Brock Lesnar and Tom Erikson?
They're both powerful monsters.
You got 2 big monsters.
Yeah.
Powerful individuals.
And then again, do they have to make weight, or can they just come in at the weight they're at?
But then I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna go off with one other tangent. I would like to know that they both got drug tested, knowing that Tom Erikson would pass no problem
Right.
with Brock. I mean, he's already popped a couple different times, and yet even when he popped, it's not like
You got a free pass. Yeah.
yes, exactly. Because I know that one of the things that was in the news not all that long back here right now was Mark Hunt versus Brock Lesnar, to where they gave Brock a pass.
Right.
Brock did pop for PEDs, and they still allow him to fight. And I don't know when Mark found out about it, but basically now, did that help play in Brock being victorious? You just never know. I simply look at it this way: there's the rules that have been already set up, and all I know is that Mark and his attorneys went after the UFC, and basically they ended up losing the lawsuit, even though it's the PD said that was never questioned. But now Mark Hunt has to pay all these legal fees.
That's horseshit.
That's a sad part about it.
That's horseshit. That's the rich guy hammering the poor guy again. You know.
I simply look at that. When you make up rules, should those rules not apply to everybody? Ideally they should. But they're looking at someone that is a needle mover. That's all I look for. Is like going, well, if this guy, he's got a big freakishly built, stuff like that. It's like going, well, he sells pay-per-views. Well, whoop-de-doo-dah.
Right.
It's still not. Should not be rules are rules. There's a big difference between a pro-level bodybuilding contest and a natural bodybuilding contest. I hate to say it, but the natural bodybuilders look like 98-pound weaklings compared to these pro-level guys. But these pro-level guys got so much stuff going through their bodies. But not too often do you see old professional wrestling bodybuilders, though, either.
No, but Mark Hunt's a man.
Yes.
He's a man. He's a tough man. And he stood in there. Even the whole, let's say Brock Lesnar cheated. The UFC company cheated. The Nevada Athletic State Commission cheated. They
didn't do the right thing.
Right.
They did the right thing to buy the
state
athlete.
of Nevada cheated, and the goddamn USA, the government USA cheated on Mark on that.
Yeah, my heart goes out there because he did everything right by the book, and basically now he's supposed to be paying back people for something like that. That's ridiculous.
That's horseshit.
he stood his ground like anybody should have.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't have there's no actual question. I'll just put that back down here for now.
Oh, I thought you were just looking at your reflection in there.
Oh, well, no. I mean, it's not like I have a mirror over here, Don. I mean, where I'd be just going, who? Yeah. What's our next question?
Next question is from Gabriel Hernandez, and he asks, would it be possible to bring Takada Nobuhiko on the show?
Sure. Send us a check and we'll fly him over. But otherwise, I don't see it happening. I don't have the money to fly him over. Do you?
Well, again, I'm just looking at just to try to get contact with. Probably, I would think that between your database, my database, we could probably come up with someone that knows how to get him. The hard part was, even the last time I ever had an interaction with him, he could hardly speak a lick of English, but then at the same token, I could hardly ever speak a lick of Japanese. Just had my token, dozen or so words that I could at least just know enough to say hello and thank you and goodbye, and that's about it. But I think he'd be an interesting person to bring on, but at the same token, I don't think it would probably end up overall would be a very good interview for him, because it's he came from one world of hocus pocus, and when he got into the real world, I think he got exposed. So
didn't work.
Yes.
Next question. This is from Justin. He says, I suffered 8 grand mal seizures in 11 months and knew I lost brain power and memory and wouldn't return to who I was before the seizures. Have either of you had a fight where you knew you sustained permanent damage to the brain?
I mean, I take it this guy is he a former fighter and where he took some shots? I mean, you just go with whatever the information he just gave you, right, Brandon?
Yep, I'm just reading his question.
So yeah, again, if we're assuming that he was actually a fighter, and he's had these head trauma, and now he's had all these different seizures and things of that nature. I mean, from what I can tell you right now is that as I said earlier on in this interview, that I was a one-trick pony. I knew that I'm a grappler. And the premise I simply had that a striker has to be within arm's range in order to punch me, legs range to kick, knee, elbow, and so on. So I was good about staying just slightly outside of that range and looking for the ways to set up. I'd set up sometimes to throws and things of nature. I trained the kick, I trained the throw hands and things of nature, but seeing me try to throw hands, stuff like that, probably like patty cakes or something like that. Not exactly look all that manly the way I throw my punches.
Well, your arms only extend this far, so you got to get that snap there at the end. And
again, having arms that don't completely straighten out, it's kind of going, I was even limited on my range there. I had great hooks maybe, but nothing that where I could throw a straight overhead right. So, I mean, I was just good at the clinching aspect, so I don't think I really could really answer that. Well, the answer again is still whether you threw somebody, because again in amateur wrestling there's throws where people land on their head. Right. But then you see most matches will end up in a takedown, and from a takedown it ends up into what I call Donkey Kong, where someone goes on top and they go Donkey Kong, go nuts. They're just doing hammer fists and things of that nature until basically usually it's when the referee stops the match, because
what was the question?
It was all about taking brain trauma damage. I know. If I've been talking too well again, I've lost you. But no, I mean, trust me. Okay. Maybe Don, we'll rephrase the question. We'll ask Don here again afterwards. Okay.
Quinn snoring heavy, louder and louder.
So Don, what he was asking was, have either of you had a fight where you knew you sustained permanent damage to the brain?
No.
But I always tell people, time will tell.
Right.
Because, I mean, we don't think so at that time or afterwards. But I always say that, like, Muhammad Ali left the ring intact.
Right.
And it wasn't until a number of years later that dementia, Alzheimer's, things of that nature started to set it into him. And a lot of the doctors say it was because of the punishment that he took inside of the ring.
Yeah, but most of your damage is done in practice.
Oh, I totally agree. Totally agree, because you spend more time there than you ever do in competition.
Right.
Yes.
So,
But Don, see, that was the way you practice, not the way I practice. Okay.
no, wait a second. You bound to have gotten slapped upside the head at the buffet line,
That's only for cutting. That's all. Got to get those pork chops while you can.
That's it.
But
Before
no,
they're gone.
Don actually made a great point, because again, if you look at a sport like boxing, because I think a lot of people can relate to this. A lot of boxers, they put on headgear for boxing training.
Right.
And it's to protect your face so you don't break your nose or get cuts that will hinder you.
Right.
So, yeah, it does all that. But as you hit that person that's wearing that headgear, it still sloshes the gray matter called the brain around inside you. So there is still that blunt trauma force. And the more times that gray matter gets sloshed around, and sooner or later, it's going to turn that brain into pudding. Really, that's how I look at it. Where there are guys that I've met that I knew them at a younger time frame in their competitive career, and then later on, it's kind of going, wow, should have ducked a few more times, or maybe he practiced a little bit too hard. And I was very adamant at my training facility of trying to teach a lot of professional wrestlers. I teach MMA guys how to throw almost like a professional wrestling punch, to where you have control over it, to where you can almost go to touch, but then also to throw it, but then also to verbalize it, because the more senses that you can incorporate in your training, the more apt you will be good at doing it. So you can go in there and throw a couple shots, grab a clinch, throw somebody, take them down. As you get them down there, do a quick little hammer strike, and literally you say it, and you actually go through it, and you just go up to touch. All you do is just go touch, and like you see their eyes get like big as all saucer, because they just realize, whew, I can't even imagine if that guy had just really gone through this. But I was looking at, come tomorrow, you've got to go back to work, same way as I got to go back to work, because there was not enough money at the time simply to sustain yourself. You still were working jobs. You're still you're doing your thing at the fire station, and you're trying to train on top of this. You hope that you can make a career out of MMA, but even then, how long is most MMA fighters' careers going to last? Almost like we look at an NBA player, an NFL player, a baseball player, something like this. They all think that their careers are going to go on forever, but it's not.
Yeah, most of them last 2 or 3 years.
It get cut short, and they really did not have plan B, C, or D going for them. They had all their eggs in plan A, and that's about it. That's the sad part. Because I don't know if Don saw this, but I saw this at Arizona State. I would be in certain classes, and I knew that I was in the same classes with some of these football players and basketball players, and they would show up every now and then. Yeah. And they're all thinking that all they're trying to do is just barely stay eligible so they can play at these games.
The worst ones were the baseball players. You talk about a bunch of arrogant pricks. Well, you just want to go.
Yeah, but they all waited until they all thought that they were all going to get drafted, and when that draft came and went, and they weren't even a blip on that scale, and they got passed over altogether. Depression set in to where now they're depressed. They're not going to classes yet again, and they flunk out, and they just threw away a $100,000 tuition, for a degree. Because I always say that sports like amateur wrestling is like gymnastics, swimming, these types of sports. There isn't a real pro level to go on to. When you leave college, you actually have to have tangible skills. There's the NBA, the NFL, the NHL. I mean, there's the major sports groups. There's a true profession to move on to for swimming, gymnastics, amateur wrestlers. There's you might be a coach somewhere down the road. You might, if you have some charisma stuff like that, you might want to jump into professional wrestling. But I mean, when you look from an amateur wrestler perspective, if you make a world team, if you make an Olympic team, it's kind of tough to say that I make an Olympic team this time. Can I be around in 4 years from now? No, because you got to be able to sustain yourself financially, and you need training partners. You got it somewhere along the way. Everyone's got to go out there and get a job.
But those are the 1% of 1% of 1%ers.
Yes.
Because you got the 1%ers in college. You got the 1%ers All-Americans. You got the 1%ers who are national champions. Then you got the 1%ers that go on to the freestyle and the Greco, and the 1%ers are world champions, and 1%ers are Olympic champions. I mean, it cuts down. It gets narrower and narrower, as you go up. And like I said, that's just 1% of 1% of 1%.
Yeah.
Well,
I get it.
But now, now with the UFC and other organizations, now wrestlers have an opportunity to do something after their competition is over.
Yeah, I'll do this. I'll put a plug here right now for Arizona State University, because I'm talking to the head coach there, Zeke Jones, and what I was telling Zeke Jones is that he's got a great opportunity with Arizona State Wrestling. First off, most high school wrestlers, they're looking to try to continue on. Hard part is most Division I college coaches are very limited on the scholarship money that they have.
Right.
Last I knew, it was like either 9.5 or 9.25 scholarships at a D1 school, and there's 10 weight classes, so you don't even have a full scholarship per weight class. So right. I can't give Don Frye a full scholarship to come to college. A lot of college coaches, they have to be very creative to where like going, hey Don, can you come and live and get a job in the state of Arizona for 1 year? Because after 1 year, you get in-state residency. So now there's no longer out-of-state tuition. And so
cuts the money for them. It gives them more money in their pocket.
Right, exactly.
For another guy.
But that, again, what does Don Frye do for 1 year? I mean, that's kind of tough. You because you're young in your career, you don't want to be put on the shelf like that. So that's really a catch-22. But I understand it from both perspectives, from the athlete's perspective, but I also understand it from the coach's perspective. But again, what Zeke Jones at Arizona State is, the state of Arizona has produced more MMA fighters, more champions, more place finishers, and all organizations across the board than any other state.
Right.
Arizona State University, they got a great collegiate program, but they also have now a freestyle Greco-Roman program, the Sun-Kissed Kids, Art Martori, who basically put this together to give, so you got an opportunity to, in season and then out of season, to represent the Sun-Kissed Kids so that you can actually train and travel and compete.
Art's been doing that for what, 35 years now?
Oh, since 1976.
Yeah.
Since 1976 that he started that on off. But then, okay, so there's the level of collegiate wrestling and having great workout partners, but then you have this option of the Sun-Kissed Kids, so you compete on a year-round type basis, and then making world teams, Olympic teams. But then you also you've got mixed martial arts.
Right.
Find another state, another university that has produced more champions or place finishers than Arizona State University. So Zeke Jones at Arizona State University has a great opportunity with that, and he can offer an athlete stuff in their season that is all wrestling related, but that when their wrestling career comes to an end, once their eligibility is all gone, now they can jump into professional level mixed martial arts.
Right.
They could jump into, again, there's been a lot of professional wrestlers that have come to Arizona State there as well. People that could probably help them in that career. So but then there's also submission grappling. So there's yet a different avenue yet, whether it be gi or not gi. Non-gi submission grappling is catching on like wildfire. A lot more opportunities there for that. So again, these are all opportunities through the state of Arizona and Arizona State Sun Devils. Hoorah! That's a very unselfish plug for Arizona State University.
And it's a very short one, too. My congratulations to you. Thank you for watching another episode of Dan and Don's Fans Q&A. You better like, subscribe, and share, or I'm going to come to your house.